Your stash is overflowing and you're too scared to sell something just to find out you needed it. With all the loot Arc Raiders has, how do you decide what to pick up, what to leave behind, what to sell, and what to safe pocket the moment you see it? Sure, you can go to the wiki or another site and look this stuff up, but you're not here for the basic stuff, like, the purple item is better than the blue one.
Go outside, nerd. I ain't got time to be distracted by your worthless chime-ins. Go on.
This is not a simple loot this, leave that list video. I'm going to break down important economic mechanics that Arc Raiders has, how to leverage them efficiently, how to manage your stash, where to hunt down specific items, and to make the most of your hoarder tendencies. Let's get rolling. Now, a lot of the specific items you are going to want to focus on are going to come down to what blueprints you've picked up, but I'm going to take that into account and set you up for success for now and for the future. The first thing I want to explain is what I call the layered economy of Arc Raiders, and how leveraging it the right way will help set you up for future raids as well as help you manage your inventory. Let's start off with the basics, the gray to blue pipeline, the refiner. As you start off hoarding items, it's going to feel like you have too much in your stash and none of the specific items you actually want at the exact same time. The base gray mats stack for 50, and you can honestly run through them pretty quickly after a few bad runs. So this brings me to 3 vital points in regards to gray material. First, never stop stacking metal parts. Because they're the main item sink for ammo, you're always going to be running through them, even in good runs. Second, make it your business to level Scrappy. What he brings you isn't enough, but leveling him makes it a whole lot better. And third, use the refiner to manage your stacks. Durable cloth, mechanical, and electrical components are key building blocks to many mid-tier items, and they themselves will be needed to build higher tiered materials. And if you have any kind of grenade blueprint, crude explosives are also another resource to invest in. Here's how the math breaks down. Mechanical components, durable cloth, and electrical components stack for 10 each and require 7 metal parts, 3 rubber parts, 8 plastic parts, 4 rubber parts, and 14 fabric, respectively. In order to build one of each stack, you'll use up to 5 stacks or more, netting a minimum of 2 slots of free space. If you have stacks of power cells, you can trade them out for shield rechargers since that's the only thing they're used for. After building 10, that clears up a whole stack of rubber parts as well. Antiseptics and crude explosives eat up a ton of chemicals. Hopefully, I've started to paint a picture here. If your base materials are eating up a ton of space because you haven't been going through them fast enough, refine your way into more stash space while getting value at the exact same time. And sometimes it's not even your hoarder tendencies that's keeping your stash too full. That's probably what it is if we're being honest though. Here's a small example. Let's say that you have a single arc circuitry taking up a slot and 4 batteries taking up another. Build a medium shield. You free up an inventory slot while you're doing this. Moments like these are the game's way of telling you need to run better gear more often. Now I know this isn't the best solution to acquiring these mid-level items, so I'm going to run down briefly where to reliably find them. These boxes and these boxes are great sources for electrical components. These boxes and these trucks are reliable places to get mechanical components. Just remember though, their drop rates are going to depend on where they're located. Medical supplies can be found regularly in medical locations.
I am shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
Most notably, Research in Dam in the Southwest Room, Hospital in Buried City, and in Spaceport, the 2nd floor of the Departures building on the north side. Generally speaking, if you're in a room full of hospital beds, you're probably in a good spot to check for these. A special note on simple gun parts. They can regularly be found in wasps, hornets, and turrets. Stacking these up should always be a priority. While there are no ways of building them, you can use the Trader Celeste to acquire them, but I do not think that's the best bang for your buck, and that brings me to the next section. Seeds. While seeds can be looted while in raid, they are regularly given to you by Scrappy and aren't used for anything else. So long as you're playing the game regularly, your seed supply should take care of itself. In my opinion, the best use you have out of these seeds are going to be medium and heavy gun parts. Heavy gun parts also apply to shotguns, and there are far more medium ammo weapons in the mid tiers. In my opinion, you really shouldn't be using seeds to acquire green items. They're easy enough to find, and you'll do well to maintain 1 to 2 stacks of any of them, some more than others. Duct tape should be used for stocks and forward grips at any given moment. There's no other real use for them, so 1 stack at any given time is really the most need to hold on to unless you've picked up an advanced blueprint for these attachments. Wires are used in muzzle devices, but they're also used in advanced electrical components. So as you start getting near the point where you're using these components more regularly, you should make it a point to maintain 2 stacks instead of 1. But in my opinion, the key green seed items I think you should keep in mind are magnets and steel springs. Steel springs are used in extended magazine attachments, making advanced mechanical components, and mod components. There's no reason to ever run a weapon without a mag attachment if it can have one, with the exception of maybe the El Toro or the Torrente, where they really don't typically make a difference. Magnets are used in a couple of blueprints, but they are mainly used in blue augments. Given how we discussed how easy it is to make electrical components, there really shouldn't be anything holding you back from running Mark II augments. If nothing else, the additional safe pocket from the looting augment and carry capacity is more than worth it. So if you're not at that point yet, start stacking magnets as you'll run through them pretty quickly once you are. But as I mentioned earlier, the key thing you need to keep in mind is your current blueprint situation. For example, the Torrente, the Osprey, and the Venator need springs, wires, and magnets respectively added to their crafting costs. So which blueprints you found and which weapons you prefer are going to determine which of these green items you should focus on. Obviously, the Exodus modules will be extremely valuable to grab with your seeds, but you won't have any recipes to use them, nor the upgraded weapon bench to use those for some time, which brings me to a particular point I'd like to shine a spotlight on. But before we get into that, if you've made it this far, you should hit that like button, and I'd like to ask you to consider hitting that subscribe and notification button as well. Thank you so much for your consideration, and now back to the video. One of the points I really want to drive home is stacking with a purpose. You see this magnetic accelerator recipe in your refiner, and you see it's for building purple weapons. And you also see that it needs 2 arc motion cores, so you prepare for the day that you can start building these cool weapons. Here's the problem. Not only do you not have a recipe to build any of these weapons, you don't have a level 3 gun bench, and you know damn well you didn't collect the 6 bombardier cells to upgrade your refiner to level 3. So why do you have a whole damn row of arc motion cores? This is especially confusing, seeing how once you get the refiner to that point, you can spam arc alloy to build them. They sell for 1,000 each. Sell them, use the money to expand your stash, and, well, who am I kidding? You're probably going to stack them up again anyways. Bottom line, if you can't tell me why you have a row of something, you're probably better off reducing that down to 1 or 2 stacks, depending on how much they stack for. If you have a short stack of an item eating up a slot in your inventory, you should be asking, what can I make with that? If the answer is nothing right now, sell it or recycle it. Which brings me to my next section, recycling. Recycling is easy enough to understand. You break an item down into another item or multiple items that are generally worth less than the original item recycled. Simple enough, but here are some things to consider. For starters, items recycled in raid give less items than they do back in the stash, which brings me to my first main tip, recycling with a purpose. All blue guns recycle for an advanced mechanical component and medium gun parts at their respective levels while back at base. When recycling in raid, however, it excludes the advanced mechanical components. Now, if we're talking about a level 3 Venator, for example, it's actually saving you weight and slots in your bag. However, a Torrente is a whole other story. A level 1 Torrente is cost you 9 additional pounds for that advanced mechanical component. And by the way, this applies to weapons, shields, and augments that have been reduced down to 0 durability. So unless you're near an evac or that item has enough durability to be reused for a low cost, consider just recycling it right where you find it. Which brings me to my next tip, cannibalize. To repair a medium shield requires a single arc circuitry and 1 battery. Depending on how damaged it is, this may require you to do it twice, doubling the cost. But if you recycle the shield back at base, you get an arc circuitry. Combining this with an additional 4 batteries, you can just build a whole new one. You can apply this methodology to weapons as well. Weapons that are very low in durability and tend to run through it rather quickly can be cannibalized to repair another weapon. Speaking of which, always repair before upgrading. The repair cost ramps up the higher the level is on the weapon. When it comes to items that are marked as recyclables, there's a very big difference between green and blue. Blue recyclables generally sell for a good amount on their own, so you can kind of treat them like valuables. You should check what they recycle into because it might be something you actually need. They do recycle for more once they get back to base, but the items might change completely into something you didn't want. For example, a fried motherboard recycles for 5 wires in raid, while it recycles for 5 plastic parts and 2 electrical components back at base. Obviously, it's worth more back at base, but not if you were wanting wires though. Green recyclables, however, in my opinion, generally don't sell for enough to make it worth the bag space, but they do break down for a good amount of basic gray materials. Based on what we talked about before, the ones that break down into metal parts should be recycled and brought back for said metal parts. The ones that recycle down into rubber parts are useful for crafting shield recharges in raid along with all the arc power cells you're picking up. And this brings me to my last section, Arc specific loot. You can get plenty of loot from all of the Arc in Raid, and you don't need me to tell you that you get Hornet parts off of Hornets and Wasp parts out of Wasps. But once you've upgraded your workbench to level 2, there are very little uses for these other than to sell them, which they do sell for a good amount for their weight, particularly Hornet drives. Yes, they do have various effects and uses, but the money you make off of them can readily be used to buy items that do the function better. Looting down probes, husks, and couriers can net some decent materials, but the key thing you're looking for is a landed intact probe. These offer the highest chance for a bulk, high-level material haul. We're talking multiple arc circuitry, advanced power cells, and motion cores. If you're seeing one land, or it's somewhere in a relatively safe position, you should always hit these up. Alright, with this information, you'll be able to pick up the best loot, scrap the rest, and never run out of stash space. Or let's not kid ourselves, you're probably going to have an overflowing stash anyways. So what did I miss? What juicy little loot secret are you holding on to? Share it down in the comments. If you're looking for more Arc Raiders guides, check these videos out. Thank you to my channel supporters, and a special shout out goes to my Florida Man Alligator tiered supporters, the Tranimal and Spectre. Discord link and ways to support the channel are down below. Thank you so much for watching till the end, and as always, good hunting.